Ever had that moment where your gut tells you to go for it, speak up in that meeting, try that new thing, maybe put your idea out there, but then that little voice, it just creeps in.
Oh, yeah. The one that whispers, what if it's not perfect? What if they judge me?
Exactly. We've all been there, I think. Playing it safe, holding back when, a bolder move feels like exactly what we need to do.
Well, that hesitation, that tendency to prioritize getting it just right over taking, well, courageous action, that's what we're really digging into today.
Right.
We're drawing from the insights of Reshma Saujani's Brave, Not Perfect to explore why this holds us back, especially for so many women,
Right.
and how we can start cultivating the courage to step outside our comfort zones and choose bravery, even when, perfection feels like the safer path.
Okay, so the central idea of brave, not perfect is that society often, maybe inadvertently, trains girls to aim for this impossible standard of flawlessness.
While boys are generally encouraged to be bold and resilient, to learn through trying and, well, sometimes failing.
It's a pretty fundamental difference in how we're raised, it sounds like.
It really is. And what's fascinating is how early and how subtly this conditioning begins. Saujani uses her own experience running for Congress as this really powerful example.
Right, the credentials thing.
Exactly. Looking at her background, Yale Law, successful career, she seemed to have the, quote, perfect credentials. But she realized that actually putting herself out there with the very real risk of public defeat and, personal criticism, that was the first truly brave thing she'd ever done. Her previous achievements, while impressive, were more about following a prescribed path, maybe pleasing others,
than taking a personal leap of faith. Yeah, I get that.
It highlights this crucial distinction. Being a high achiever, ticking all the boxes, isn't the same as being truly brave.
Right. Those accomplishments were about striving for an ideal, maybe seeking external validation, like you said.
Exactly. Wasn't until she embraced a situation with an uncertain outcome and significant personal stakes that she truly tapped into her courage.
And this leads us directly to what Saujani describes as the perfection trap.
Yes. From a young age, girls are often praised for being, well-behaved, getting good grades, being agreeable.
A good girl.
Pretty much. This creates a reward system centered on flawlessness, where mistakes become something to be avoided at all costs, leading to this deep-seated fear of risk-taking.
It's incredible how this plays out professionally. You mentioned that study.
Oh, the job application one? Yeah.
Men will apply for jobs meeting only, 60% of the qualifications?
Around that, yeah. But women typically only apply if they feel they meet 100%.
Wow. That's a huge difference in just the willingness to put themselves forward. Is it solely about a fear of not being perfect, do you think? Or are there other things mixed in?
Well, that's a great point. Other factors certainly exist, but that ingrained fear of not being qualified enough, that internal pressure for perfection, it definitely plays a significant role for many women. And this need for perfection, it shows up in so many ways. Think about agonizing over the wording of an email, afraid of saying something that might be misinterpreted.
Guilty. Definitely done that.
Or overanalyzing decisions, big or small, trying to anticipate every possible outcome before acting. And when mistakes inevitably happen, the self-criticism can be, incredibly harsh.
It really underscores that this isn't just about external appearances, is it?
Yeah.
The book delves into the real toll this takes on our well-being.
Totally. Lost sleep over minor errors, the sheer exhaustion of trying to maintain a perfect facade, and the damage to our self-esteem when we hold back our true thoughts or, agree to things we'd rather not do.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that constant striving for a flawless image can actually create barriers in our relationships too.
Absolutely. Authenticity comes from vulnerability, right? From showing our true selves, imperfections and all. When we're focused on projecting perfection, we can inadvertently create distance and miss out on deeper connections. Ultimately, perfection is an illusion, so that feeling of genuine accomplishment and self-acceptance always seems just kind of out of reach.
It's eye-opening to consider how differently bravery and perfection are often nurtured right from childhood. The book shares some really illustrative examples of these subtle yet powerful messages we receive.
Yeah, what stands out are those everyday scenarios. Think about kids on a playground.
Okay.
Boys engaging in more boisterous play are often told to be tough, to shake it off if they get a scrape.
Right, rub some dirt on it.
Exactly. Whereas girls, especially if they're dressed nicely, are often more closely watched and shielded from even minor bumps.
Hmm.
This subtle difference in messaging can internalize a belief that girls need to be protected from challenges, while boys are expected to overcome them. This early divergence can have a lasting impact on risk-taking behavior throughout life.
The swim class anecdote really resonated with me, too. Boys being encouraged to just jump in, even if they're a little hesitant,
Yeah, be tough.
while a fearful girl is met with gentle reassurance and offered ways to avoid discomfort, like not getting your face wet.
It's a seemingly small interaction, but it sends a powerful message about perceived capabilities and the acceptance of pushing boundaries.
And that story about the mother being judged for encouraging her daughter to try a water slide, while boys were just given a push.
It really highlights the societal discomfort, maybe, with girls taking physical risks. It aligns with that World Health Organization study on gender norms,
Oh, yes.
which highlights how universally and how early these stereotypes about toughness for boys and vulnerability for girls are internalized.
Even in how we react to setbacks. The basketball coach's observation
Oh, yeah, about losing.
that boys tend to see a loss as just one game, while girls often internalize it as a personal failing. It really speaks to this fear of not measuring up, of not being perfect.
And that statistic that almost all girls report striving for perfection and see it as a virtue, it's a powerful indicator of how deeply ingrained this is.
Wow. So this fear of not being perfect connects directly to Carol Dweck's work on fixed versus growth mindsets.
Exactly. Essentially, a fixed mindset is the belief that your intelligence and abilities are largely set in stone.
Okay.
Whereas a growth mindset is the understanding that these qualities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This distinction is crucial to understanding why the perfection trap is so damaging.
And the book highlights that girls are often more inclined towards a fixed mindset, which makes sense, thinking about it.
Yeah, if you consider the boys often receive more process praise, being commended for their effort and strategies,
All right, try.
while girls might be more frequently praised for simply getting things right. This can inadvertently teach girls that if they don't understand something immediately, it means they're inherently not good at it.
So, okay, if someone recognizes they have a fixed mindset, what are some practical steps they can take based on Saujani's ideas or Dweck's work to cultivate a growth-oriented approach?
That's a key question. Cultivating a growth mindset starts with recognizing that abilities aren't fixed. It involves consciously reframing mistakes as learning opportunities.
Instead of proof of failure.
Right, rather than evidence of inadequacy. Praising effort and the process of learning, not just the outcome, is crucial, both for ourselves and for how we encourage others.
Okay.
So Johnny's emphasis on bravery encourages us to embrace challenges and see them as chances to develop new skills, regardless of the initial outcome.
The book also touches on how this conditioning can lead to women feeling like they need to minimize themselves, that fear of being too much.
Oh, yes, the anecdote about the high school girls in Harlem.
Yeah, feeling they had to hold back from being too loud, too assertive, too angry. It's really impactful.
And what's fascinating here is the societal difference in how anger is often perceived and expressed by boys versus girls.
Mhm.
Boys are often encouraged to stand up for themselves, to be assertive when they feel wronged. Girls, on the other hand, are frequently taught to be polite, agreeable, to suppress anger, to avoid being labeled negatively.
And this carries right into our adult lives, doesn't it? Being praised as children for being quiet and cooperative can translate into a lifelong habit of not speaking up, even when we have valuable insights or concerns. That statistic about women speaking less than 75% of the time men do in conference meetings really illustrates this.
It really does. And modesty, often presented as a virtue for girls, further contributes to this. The book shares that anecdote about the sixth grade graduation.
They're dabbing.
Yeah, where boys confidently celebrated their achievements while girls tended to downplay their wins, almost as if, apologizing for their success.
There's this underlying fear of being seen as arrogant if we openly acknowledge our accomplishments.
Exactly. And this reluctance to self-promote can have real consequences in our careers. We might hesitate to apply for a promotion unless we feel absolutely 100% qualified.
While male colleagues might be more comfortable just going for it.
Precisely. That story about the successful dermatologist who didn't feel brave enough to correct her male dentist's assumptions about her career perfectly illustrates this ingrained modesty.
Which creates what's often called a double bind for women, right?
Yes, exactly. You need to be assertive to get ahead, But if you are assertive, you risk being perceived as aggressive or unlikable, facing negative social repercussions that men typically don't.
Tough spot.
Mm.
And these internalized messages are, of course, amplified like crazy in today's world by social media.
Oh, absolutely. The constant pressure to present a curated, flawless online persona, the hours spent crafting that perfect image, it's exhausting.
And it often fuels these unrealistic comparisons.
It really does. It's concerning how this has become the norm, especially for younger generations. The obsession with personal branding, with taking and editing that ideal photo.
It consumes so much time and energy that could be directed toward actual experiences and growth.
And the constant exposure to others' seemingly perfect lives online inevitably leads to anxiety and feelings of inadequacy, that pervasive fear of missing out, or FOMO.
That story about the girl whose vacation felt ruined because she saw someone else's seemingly better trip online. That's really telling.
It is. And
Yeah.
ultimately, this relentless pursuit of perfection has a significant cost. The book discusses how it can lead to a feeling of being stuck and unfulfilled, even with outward success.
Like Saujani's own experience.
Yeah, she shares her experience of working in high-powered but ultimately unfulfilling corporate jobs, leading to burnout and a disconnect from her true passions.
It's a relatable feeling, I think. That sense of outward success not equating to inner fulfillment makes you wonder how many people are caught in that same trap.
It's sobering to think about the energy we expend on this. That statistic about women spending a disproportionate amount of time worrying about their weight.
Just one example of this relentless self-scrutiny.
And the feeling that there's no use trying if we can't achieve perfection. That can really stifle our potential and rob us of joy.
Like the illustrator anecdote.
Yes. The talented illustrator who found no joy in her successful career because of this underlying feeling of never being good enough. It's a powerful reminder.
But the core message of Brave, Not Perfect, is about shifting our focus, right? It's not about lowering our standards.
Not at all. It's about redefining what we value. Moving from the unattainable goal of perfection to the more meaningful pursuit of excellence.
Okay, excellence versus perfection.
Right. Where effort and growth are celebrated regardless of a flawless outcome. Saujani shares her own ongoing struggle with this, the lingering ghost of perfectionism that can still make it hard to fully celebrate achievements.
It really can steal our joy, can't it? Focusing on that one minor flaw in an otherwise successful presentation, or dwelling on a single negative comment amidst overwhelmingly positive feedback.
It prevents us from truly acknowledging and appreciating our accomplishments. And this is where the power of failure comes in.
Embracing failure. Easier said than done sometimes.
Definitely. But the book emphasizes that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often a crucial stepping stone. So Johnny's own experience of losing her congressional race.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
While initially devastating, it ultimately led her to found Girls Who Code, a venture that has had a profound impact.
Wow. So a setback paved the way.
Exactly. It's a great example of how what feels like a major setback can actually pave the way for something even more meaningful. And the very nature of coding, with its constant process of trial and error, teaches a valuable lesson in being comfortable with imperfection.
That makes sense. The failure pin idea is interesting too.
It's a powerful way to destigmatize mistakes, yeah.
So how do we actively start choosing bravery over perfection in our daily lives? The book broadens the definition of bravery, right? Beyond just big things.
Absolutely. Beyond those big, dramatic acts to include everyday courage, like setting boundaries, asking for what you need, or simply trying something new without knowing the outcome.
Like the little girl dressed as a hot dog for Princess Week.
Yes, such a wonderful example of just unapologetic self-expression.
Love that.
And the book highlights both those visible acts of courage, like speaking truth to power, and those quieter, more personal acts of bravery, like making a difficult but necessary change in your life.
Even small things, like Saujani deciding to stop breastfeeding.
Yeah, when it wasn't serving her or her child, it's presented as an act of self-respect and bravery. And the point about bravery also including the courage to say no, even if it might disappoint others.
Oh, that's a big one.
So important for reclaiming our time and energy. Ultimately, the book encourages us to be brave like women, to tap into our own unique strengths and ways of being courageous.
And why is embracing this bravery so essential? What's the payoff?
Well, the book underscores that so many of the things that bring us the most fulfillment, pursuing our passions, building meaningful relationships, advocating for ourselves, require us to step outside that comfort zone of striving for perfect approval.
Okay.
It even touches on how letting go of unrealistic expectations of perfection can make us better parents.
Interesting. Less pressure on everyone.
Exactly. It's that true resilience, that ability to bounce back from challenges. So Johnny's anecdote about confidently walking through an airport with curlers in her hair.
Yes.
It perfectly illustrates the freedom that comes with letting go of the need for constant external validation. And the empowering message is that bravery isn't a fixed trait. It's a muscle we can strengthen with practice.
So it's about conscious choices.
Yes. It's about consciously choosing braver actions one small step at a time, replacing those old perfectionist habits.
So if you've ever felt that hesitation, that fear of not being perfect, holding you back from taking a leap, remember this. It's time to release that pressure and embrace the journey of being brave, not perfect.
Absolutely. So what's one small act of bravery you can choose today? Maybe it's voicing an idea you've been holding back, trying a new hobby, or simply giving yourself permission to make mistakes without self-criticism.
You are already capable of incredible courage. Every time you choose bravery over perfection, you're building a more authentic and fulfilling life. So go out there and be brave, not